All right, good. It all seems like it's working. Juan, will you make a note? I think the Periscope portion of the stream is busted. Will you maybe get in there and hack on that and see what's going on? You might need to reauthorize. If you do, the password is in the sheet. But okay, welcome guys. My name is Patrick. I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts. Been doing that going on like 6 years now or so. Which means for 6 years I've been trying to solve the problem you guys are all trying to solve, which is how do you build a profitable art and or photography business in today's day and age. In addition to that, I've been running basically 3 of these sessions a week for a little bit over a year. So I don't think it's hyperbole saying that on a week in, week out basis, I feel like I talk to more artists or photographers than probably just about any human being on the planet. I bring that up to say that I've heard it all, I've seen it all. There really are no new problems under the sun. And as a final, at Art Storefronts, I think we have a little bit over 5,700 customers now, and we really study their data. We get to see what happens. We are behind the curtain, as it were. So we get to see things like who's selling the most originals, who's selling the highest priced originals, who's selling the highest volume of originals, who's selling the most commissions, who's selling the most prints and metal prints, and high priced prints and low priced prints, and who's the best at marketing on Facebook and Instagram and capturing emails and everything in between. So gives us sort of like a unique data set to what is actually working in today's day and age to build a real art or photography business. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet and other places, and we can sort of sidestep that because we see the final data. So I want to get into the agenda, as it were, for today's session. So what we'll do is I'll have a little presentation up front, and independent of what we do as a business, you sort of need to see our view of what an actual legit art or photography business looks like in today's day and age. Doesn't mean you need to agree with it, but it sort of stands on top of everything that we do as a business. So I'm going to go over kind of what that looks like, and that's sort of the very top or very tip of the spear, if you like, and then one layer below that is what we call a demo. Now, we run a demo process. It's sort of like test driving a car without the cheesy salespeople. You got to get behind the wheel and see everything. So when you request a demo with us, somebody from our outreach team calls you back and has like a 10 to 15 minute conversation, and you can ask any and all questions, and they'll find out what you do, what makes you tick, what your art looks like, where you are in your career. And then you schedule the demo, which is an hour-long Zoom session, sort of like this, that goes through all the ins and outs and bells and whistles of the software and all the pricing and all the plans and how everything works, and all of the marketing education, really everything that we do. So this session kind of sits one step above that, and there's some important intel that we'll cover. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I'll say too, as sort of a final before I get started, we're going to be covering a bunch of stuff. There's going to be videos and links and articles and PDFs and various different things that we'll mention as we roll along. A lot of times we'll throw links in the chat. So you can see at the bottom of your Zoom bar, there's like a chat section that you can click, and that gives you the ability to see what the links are. You can click them if you're so inclined. You don't have to, because what we end up doing is we run the whole session, and at the very end of the session, we will send you an email. It'll have the video from today's session. It'll have links to everything that I talked about. So if you want to just listen passively, whatever, don't worry about clicking on things. You can do that. But also for the chat, if as we roll along, you have questions about this, that, the other, just about anything, you can throw your questions in the chat. We have other team members on this call, and so if they can answer the questions, they'll answer them right away. If not, I will answer them on the Q&A on the backside. So I'm going to start sort of with my presentation, and I've got this thing that I've come up with that sort of explains at a high level that I call the art selling pyramid. Okay. And it really is the path to a successful art business in 2021 and beyond. And I stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it's a pyramid. The idea being there's blocks at the bottom. You have to sort that one, then you can get to the next one, finally get to the top. So in Maslow's case, the bottom block is physiological, right? We all have to eat, we all have to sleep every single solitary day. You get that taken care of. You can move up to safety, security, wealth, fitness, love, belonging, esteem, all the rest. Wonderful. So that's sort of the concept. Let me get into it. I kind of explain how it looks. So the bottom block of the art selling pyramid, okay, is attention. And what do I mean by attention? Every single solitary person on this call I know conclusively has an attention problem. You need more eyeballs on your art, on your photography, if you ever stand a chance at selling it. And no different than the bottom block of Maslow's being the physiological needs of eating and sleeping every single solitary day. Everyone needs to be focused on acquiring more attention for their art or their photography business every single solitary day. It quite literally is the currency of the land, attention. And attention comes in a couple of different forms. I like splitting it up between rented and owned. Owned attention can't be taken away from you. Rented attention can, right? So owned attention are email addresses, best example, phone numbers, snail mail addresses. Rented attention are Facebook fan page fans and Instagram followers and YouTube subscribers and on and on. Critical, critical. And to take it sort of like out of the art context, the world that we live in right now, 2021, to grow a big and successful art business, sadly, is not a meritocracy on how good you are at your art or your photography. The best art, best photography does not win. The best art or the best photography that gets seen wins. So you want a big and successful art business, it is a meritocracy on how good you are at marketing. Full stop. Just the truth. And I say it yet another way. If I was to ask who are some of the most powerful women in the entire world, how would you answer that question? It's a lot of right answers, right? But I say the Kardashians. I know. I saw that look, John. Now, we can all argue how those ladies amassed the attention that they did and whether that was morally or otherwise. But what we cannot argue is the fact that none of those women have flown commercial for the last 10 years, that they all have $100 million businesses. And stated yet another way, if any of the however many of them there are, decided to become an artist or decided to become a photographer tomorrow, they would likely have a $5 million business year one. Wouldn't matter if they were painting stick figures or taking crappy, out of focus, improperly framed photos on their iPhones, okay? Why? Because they understand the currency of the land, which is just attention. Critically important to understand it. Next block up is a two-parter. One, there's the outer portion, and then two, the inner portion. The outer portion is, we believe, if you want a successful art or photography business, that you need to understand the business model, and you need to be building a collector list. What is the business model? The business model is that you all have to be selling direct. You have to be selling to the end consumer. You have to be selling to the end consumer such that you retain their information, such that you can market to them in perpetuity. And the collector list is where this comes in, okay? And the collector list is a concept that originally kind of like came on my radar from this book. Phenomenal book. Don't be a starving artist. Why would you want to read this, aside from the fact that it's really thin and it's got a great title? It's by Weiland, the whale guy. Most people would say he's the #1 best-selling artist in the United States, and apparently it's not even close. He knows what he's talking about. Great book. Bummer is that 100% of the proceeds go to charity, so you have to buy it from his website. You can't do it on Amazon, but I honestly think you guys should buy this book. It's a great book. Weiland, in his book, defines a collector list as someone that is sold in that will buy from him in upwards of 8+ pieces over the course of their lifetime. So they just keep coming back and buying more and more and more. Weiland treats these people like VIPs. He sends them Christmas cards. Okay, he sends them personalized emails. He sends them special events. He likes and comments on their Facebook pages. Right? He goes out of his way to work for these folks. And I would go as far to say I've been doing this for a while now. I think the collector list and the health of a collector list is either the #1 or #2 most important metric an art or photography business could have, full stop. 1, having one. 2, how great you're taking care of it. And, sort of the way to think of it is you guys are all creators. We know that. You're all solopreneurs for the most part. You don't have a big team behind you. And you're all really just commissioned salespeople. You eat what you kill, for lack of a better term. So you create, you go out and try and sell it. If you do a good job trying to sell it, then you're gonna make some money, and that's gonna be fantastic. But the flip side is also true. There's no guarantee if you don't get out of bed and try to start selling, right? If you don't actively go out and work hard on selling your work, you're not gonna make any money. You have a hobby. You do not have a business. Well, guess what? The collector list, okay, is essentially takes you from being a commissioned salesperson, and it gives you a base salary. It starts out small. It starts out at 10 grand a year, 5 grand a year, 20 grand a year, 30 grand a year, and it grows from there. And what do I mean? You get paid a salary for just creating. You get paid a salary for getting out of bed in the morning. Now, granted, you still have to create, but that's how it works. And let's use some really, really simple maths to keep this nice and easy. You know, Raquel there comes out with a new series. She's got 10 pieces in the series. She is going to release it to the public on a Wednesday. On a Monday, Raquel emails her collectors and she says, hey guys, thank you so much for your patronage. I just want to let you know that I have a brand new series coming out. I'm going to unveil it to the public and put it on sale on Wednesday. Because I love you guys for supporting me, I just wanted to show you the series before anyone else could see it. Hope you're well. Speak soon, right? And her collectors get to see the entire series before anyone else does. And what ends up happening is, first, the collectors buy 1 out of the 10 pieces. And so now Raquel's collector list is essentially buying 10% of what she creates just because she created it. And it tends to grow over time. That percentages grow to 20%, to 30%, to 40%, to 50%, 60%, 70% is about as high as I've seen. Ideally, you want to grow it to 100, but that's aspirationally, right? So the collector list, the size and the health of the collector list is either the number 1 or the number 2 most important metric in your business. It is why the business model is so critical. It is why you need to understand that you need to be selling to people direct and you need to be maintaining the collector information. And let me tell you, it's not hyperbole. I talk to hundreds of you guys a week. Do you know how many people I talk to that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that have had an entire career of selling art that were doing fantastic, but they did not maintain a collector list? And if they did, they did not take care of it. All of a sudden, COVID hit. Every single solitary one of their income sources, poof, disappeared, and you had no one to market to. You had no one to market to. You had no one to sell your art to. It was like, let's just hope this thing blows over. That's no way to live. That's no way to build a sustainable business. And so I can't underscore how important the collector list is. It is fundamentally either the number 1 or number 2 most important metric in an art business. Let's keep moving. After we're working on our attention, after we have the business model sorted, after we are working on our collector list, we're taking care of it, there are 3 ways to sell art and photography, okay? I believe everyone that actually doesn't want to be a hobbyist and wants a serious business needs to understand these 3 and needs to be deploying these 3 where applicable, okay? Number 1 way, best way. You guys all already know what this one is. You already all use it. It's in person, face-to-face. It always has been the best way. It always will be the best way. It's never going to change. Problem here, you, Luann, John, Keith, Raquel, you guys are all geographically fixed on this planet, same as me, okay? We are geographically fixed on this planet. We have to sleep, and we can't have 15 conversations at once concurrently. So we have to have a website. The website is the next way. It solves for all of those solutions, okay? So now we have 2 ways to sell art. The number 3 way, the newest way, the way this is essentially the most profound and amazing advancement to this business, to this industry in forever. It's not even close. And not only are we as an industry trying to figure this out, the entire e-commerce industry is trying to figure it out. And what is it? It's via live video. It is selling your art, your photography via live video in either a 1-to-1 fashion or a 1-to-many fashion. So let's say I follow John on Instagram and I look at one of John's pieces and it looks really interesting to me. And I send John a message on Instagram and I say, John, I'm really interested in your pieces. I have a vacation home that I need to get some art for. Do you think we could potentially schedule a Zoom call and talk about some of the pieces and let me know some pricing and get to know you? And John goes, no problem, Patrick. Let me send you the Zoom link. The next thing you know, John and I are in a Zoom call. No different than this. He's showing me his pieces. He's merchandising them. He's talking about where they would go great. He's telling me about his inspiration. I'm getting to know him. I now feel like I have a bond to the artist. It is one of the highest leverage things you can do, and that's the 1-to-1, okay? Now let's talk about the 1-to-many. The 1-to-many is just as fascinating, okay? And the 1-to-many is essentially having a live art show, okay? And this gentleman is in his garage studio. He's got a bunch of pieces that were leftover inventory from 10 years ago. He is streaming live to Instagram. He's streaming live to Facebook. He's streaming live to YouTube. And he is selling his art. He is merchandising it. He's talking about it. People are asking questions. I'll see if I can find one. Sometimes I get, how much for number 4? People are asking questions live and bidding on the art live. And guess what? He's not leaving his house. And guess what else? He's not paying a gallery 50%. This particular gentleman, who's been a longtime customer and a longtime friend over a 15-day period, sold 62 pieces for a little bit over $30,000 Canadian. Those numbers are absolutely staggering, right? They're amazing. Now, does he have a decent following? Is he a very talented artist? Yes, he is. But this represents a massive seat change for him, because this is a guy prior to this that would do the dog and pony show at the gallery, that would do the 50-50 split. And now he's able to just sidestep the gallery and go direct. And it's working for him incredibly well. So what do we do as Art Storefronts as a business? We figure things out like this, and we run more of them than anyone else. And so the minute that we saw the results with Matthew, okay, we started duplicating it. We started grabbing more and more and more artists and photographers in our stable and running the similar things. Now, this is Meg. She is an artist out of Kansas City. She was actually legitimately moving. You can see it's Meg's moving sale. She was legitimately moving from one studio to another, and she's an artist. So she had a bunch of these in-between pieces and color studies and sketches and the like. In this particular sale, she had 82 pieces in the show. She ended up selling 77 of them for a little bit over $13,000, right? Because a lot of them were smaller and such. Do you know what's really interesting, though? The show was on a Wednesday. On a Monday, she emailed her collector list, and her collector list bought 46% of the show before it even went on sale. Since then, we've run one after another, after another, after another. YouTube's loading a little slow today. You know, different subject materials, some artists, some photographers, different niches, and you learn things like, what's the trade craft? How do you do this? What's the best way to do this? How do you quote prices? You know, how do you approach it in the best way possible? And you do that. And what ends up happening is you start to learn things, right? You start to get better at figuring out this new incredible way of video-enabled commerce. And we just keep running them and running them and running them. And we're running more than just about anyone else, because this is absolutely the future, full stop. Let's get out of our little world and let's go to your guys' world at the very highest level. Your industry is not one that has a ton of reports. I rather like this one. It is in conjunction with Art Basel and UBS. They call it the Art Market Report for 2021. And I'm going to send you a link to this. It's a PDF, or they have this snazzy webpage that talks about all the sections. The global art market, and excuse me, I'm gonna cough. Sorry about that. Hopefully my mute button didn't work there. So the global art market: dealer sales, auction sales, art fairs and exhibitions, online sales. And, you know, they had like the key findings in this. And I'll quote loosely on this one. You know, as a disclaimer too on this, these guys only survey the top 5% of the art market. So you have to sort of take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, everyone that these people are surveying are well over $100,000 a year in sales. And so you have to take that as a grain of salt, but it doesn't matter. Chapter 5, and I quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution of sales in 2021. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 at the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. You know what an online viewing room is? It's a snooty way of saying a Zoom call, okay? Online viewing room. It's a Zoom call, no different than what we're on right now. Video with the artist agent, with the collector, okay? And it also shows the growth of online auctions. Anyway, you go through this report, and it talks about how a tremendous, tremendous amount of art was sold in 2020, okay? And the portion of 2021, I think, where they cut it off, and how successful these online video viewing rooms, Zoom calls, were for them. So that's at the very top end of the scale, right? But there are so many abstractions to this new way of selling art, I can't even begin to tell you. And I go back to my original buddy here, and I'll show you this one. He was lucky enough to have a show that he booked, and just, what's the date? Let me find the date. So this was July 24th, 2020, almost a year ago to the day. And he had a gallery show in his homeland in Canada, and obviously not a whole heck of a lot of people were going to be able to come to it because COVID, right? He ran the show. Okay, great. People were in there, masks, the whole deal. Fine. Hello. Great. Next day, what did he do? Somebody grabbed a laptop. Somebody grabbed the cell phone, held him for him. He had his glass of wine, and he walked through the show. And everyone that couldn't come as a result of COVID was able to see the show. And people were asking him questions. And he was showing off the pieces. And you could see which one had red dots and which one sold already. And the FOMO is building. And pieces of art that had yet to sell in this show started selling. And it's the same thing, leveraging live video, okay, to sell art directly. Now, in this case, it was a bit of a bummer because the show was hanging in the gallery, right? So he had to do the 50-50 split. He had to deal with the fact that he wasn't going to retain the information on his purchasers, which is a little annoying, but he was still able to move a tremendous amount of the art just by running the show this way. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're just getting started, you've never sold a single solitary piece, or whether you are a six-figure-a-year-plus artist. Understanding how to leverage live video to sell art and photography direct, this is the future, full stop, and it's not even close. Every single solitary one of you can do it. Is there a ton of stuff to learn? Is there a ton of tradecraft? Absolutely there is. And I'll do a final one because I think it's funny. If you can't laugh at yourself, what are you going to do? We constantly learn things running these. And if you look at this one, what do you notice about it? It's another one with my buddy Matthew. The quality is terrible. You want to know why the quality is terrible? Because his significant other is upstairs streaming Netflix while he's trying to run his live art show. So don't do that. When you're doing a live art show and you're streaming, don't have somebody watching Netflix or binge watching something or your kids on the internet, right? So there's all kinds of fun stuff like that to learn about. Anyway, back to the pyramid. We'll finish it up. Those are the 3 ways to sell art. So if we're working on our attention, okay, we understand the business model. We are building a collector list. We are deploying the 3 ways to sell art. The top block of the pyramid is everything else. And I have never, met a revenue source that I don't like. We love a revenue source. We just do, okay? So if you've got one that's working, that doesn't conform with the pyramid, fantastic. Leverage it. This could be a gallery, a retail gallery that's still working, bringing you income. Wonderful. It could be online galleries, Saatchi, Etsy, Redbubble, eBay, whatever you got. If that's Fine Art America, if you're deriving income from that, fantastic. But all of it is in addition to all of these other things, because that is how you build a sustainable art business in which you control the rules and no one can take it away from you. Okay, so everything else goes on top. Show and Thayer circuit, fantastic. Love the show and Thayer circuit on top of everything else that you're doing. And as a final, I say perspective. And you guys really do, you have the time to do this. And, again, I talk to hundreds of you guys a week. And one thing that I've learned conclusively is you are not a bunch that goes through a midlife crisis. Once you're a creative, an artist, or a photographer, you don't all of a sudden decide one day you're going to go be a tax accountant or a construction worker. You want to go be a lifeguard at the beach. You guys are creators for life, okay? You have the rest of your life to work on this. I know conclusively that you guys all have marketing problems. I know conclusively that many of you have not kept up your collector list. I know conclusively, sadly, a lot of you guys need to learn digital marketing for the first time, and that's a difficult pill to swallow when you're in the mid portion of your career. But guess what? Do it with the perspective of understanding how much time you have left to get this right. If you get this right, you have a business that no one can take away from you. If you get this right, you have a business in which you control the rules. The people that got this right ahead of COVID had the greatest years of their art selling careers ever. Why? Because everyone was home, from COVID, not going back to their offices, finally so sick of their white walls to do something. On so many Zoom calls, they needed to dress up their background. So you had art demand at an all-time high. And then let's talk about supply. All-time low. The show and Thayer circuit closed. The retail galleries closed. So who do you think took advantage of that particular situation? The ones that had a collector list, the ones that understood the pyramid, the ones that had been working on their marketing. And guess what? The doors might have closed and the mask might have come on, but the selling didn't stop for them. It just increased. And who knows? Who knows how many of these stupid things we have coming down the line? The Delta Baker variant. I might even have it right now. I'm so sick. But I want to equip our customers to understand the rules of the game and start working at it. So what does Art Storefronts do? That's what we do at the end of the day. We believe that is the model to a sustainable art business. We believe it is critically, critically important. And it just works. It just works. So that's my rant. I'm sticking to it. At this point, open it up to Q&A. Couple of different things about Q&A. And yes, Melody will send you the PowerPoint presentation, all of it after the fact. Couple of different ways to ask questions. If you're one of the brave ones with your camera on, appreciate you guys. And you have a question, you can raise your hand old school. I will see that. And it kind of just forms a queue and it goes. But there's a reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom window, and you can see I just did it right now. You see I have a little hand next to my name. You can click that reactions thing and say raise hand. That'll let me know you have a question. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. I hate being on video. So I totally get that. So you can ask your question via audio. If you're throwing questions in the chat, we'll see those. We'll get those. Again, if you're one of the ones that are watching on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, we're seeing those questions too. Hi, Kim. How are you doing? And we can answer those as well. So, yeah. And thank you, Luann. I'm trying to feel better for sure. I don't think it's COVID, actually. I think it's just a cold because my wife and kids had it. And they all got tested. But anyway, it's lame having a cold in summer. Okay, Joshua, it looks like you are up first. Let me get you. Go ahead, Joshua.
All right.
Hey.
One of the some of the success that I've had has been with a particular. It's through a friend, and he's a commercial developer.
Okay.
And he works with commercial interior. He's the developer.
Yeah.
He works with commercial interior designers, and of course, the curators who select art.
Yes.
Is there a particularly good way of developing those contacts with the curator?
Yes, but, right? Yes, but. And let me sort of define the yes, but. You have a good relationship with this guy because he's a buddy, right? And so you didn't have to go through any gatekeepers. You got right in there and it worked out. Now, do I like your model? I do. Are you getting all the contact information of the people that are buying your art? Probably not. I think you muted yourself, Josh. Hold on. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Hit the mute thing again. Hold on. I'm finding you. All right, I got you. Just hit the mute again. Yeah, gotcha.
There we go.
Sorry.
Right. Yes, I'm directly in contact with the specific buyer for a specific project.
Okay, that's awesome. That's amazing.
So my question is there a way of expanding those kinds of contacts to be able to be in touch with more of those kinds of buyers who sort of buy at scale?
Yeah. There is, and generally speaking, I like it, and the fact that you already have one in the bucket makes it even more interesting, right? But what I've sort of seen in a macro is, and the one this comes up all the time is there's variants, right? And one is, excuse me, one is the interior decorators, right? Hey, I just want to get my art into the hands of interior decorators. If I can just get my art into the hands of interior decorators, I know I'll have a big business. Or I just want to get into the people that buy art for hotels, right? If I can just get my art in front of the people that buy it from hotels, I'll take care of that. And while those are all noble gains from what I've seen, or aims, I should say, from what I've seen at a macro, and again, I lean very heavily on the fact that I have this data from 5,500 customers and we study it so closely, the highest ROI activity that you can do is just work on your marketing in general. And let me give you a couple examples to punctuate it. Your followers, my followers, everyone's followers are essentially a bell curve, okay? And this is just the way the world works. And at the bottom of the bell curve, you have the low socioeconomic status, right? They're not going to buy anything they're going to like, they're going to share, but they're still valuable. We'll talk about that in a second. And then you have the lower middle class, the middle class, upper middle class, high net worth individuals, bell curve, right? Everyone's followers are like that. That's just the way the world works. And the number of people that just want to focus on the high net worth portion of that curve is every single solitary business in the world aside from the 99-cent stores, right? And so if that's the way that it works, it is by definition the most difficult thing to do, right? The most difficult thing to do. And so I look at situations like these and I ask myself, okay, if it's my business, right? And I treat my customers' businesses like it's my business, what is the highest ROI use of my marketing time, right? And from what I've seen, it is, do not worry about one particular portion of the bell curve, okay? Just worry about your marketing in general and increase the people that are exposed to your art, right? And we have this private Facebook group for our members, allows them to communicate, ask us questions, this whole thing. And a gal was in there probably 6 months ago, and she's like, you guys, I can't believe it. I just got one of my biggest wins ever. And I sold $35,000 in one order to an interior decorator. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, congrats, amazing, all the emojis, all that nonsense, the gifts. How did you do it? And was it a Facebook ad, or was it a cold outreach campaign, or how did you do it? And she's like, I've been posting on Instagram regularly. The interior decorator's daughter has followed me for 2 years. She told her mom. Like, how the hell do you duplicate that, right? That's how it happens in the real world, straight up. Like, you got away with it because you have a friend that's a buddy. And don't get me wrong, it's possible to do as a marketing activity, right? And whenever anybody asks me, especially in the interior decorator ones. They don't want to hear the truth. And you know what the truth is? Like, Patrick, I get what you're saying. You're really talented at marketing. You know what you're doing. I just want to hit the interior decorators. Can you just give me a plan? Yeah, no problem. Here's the plan. Go on to Houzz, okay, Houzz, which is the interior decorator site, essentially the Facebook of interior decorators. And I want you to contact 150 people on there on a daily basis. And you know what's going to happen when you do? You're going to get like a 6 to 12% return rate. And if you do that for an entire year, you foster those relationships, you constantly follow up with them, you might be able to build that as a sustainable channel. You want to know why no one does that? Because no artist or photographer ever sticks to their marketing consistently. None of them. None of them. Okay. You get all fired up to do something. You do it for like a month or two, and you don't get the results that you want because no one's giving you the perspective of how long it takes, and then it ends up failing. So, from what I've seen, I think it's a higher ROI activity to do all of the things that we advise in terms of normal, sustainable marketing that a business does. If you do that, I believe the score takes care of itself. These people will come by default. If I was in your shoes and I had this one commercial guy and he was going really well, I would toss 5 to 7% of my marketing energy towards building that channel, not more. I would just be thankful that you've got the one that is working, which is incredible. Keep rolling it, right? Those are high net worth individuals. Treat those people like kings. They need to be on the Christmas list, the people that are buying your art through that channel, right? You need to be sending personalized emails, the whole deal, because they'll buy again and again and again. But I don't find it to be the highest ROI way to approach marketing. That's sort of my experience. You muted yourself again, so I have to unmute you again. Oh, you're done? Okay. But yeah, it's a fascinating question, right? But everyone always does, like, you know, the long and the short is there's zero shortcut, right? There's zero shortcut. There never has been a shortcut. There never will be a shortcut. And there's so many people that come with the variance of like, I just want to market to high net worth individuals. One thing I will say is that we got a kid, okay, who constantly amazes me. He's 26 years old. He's a photographer, and he's in like the sexy beach part. I always forget what it's called of the Florida Panhandle. It's called 30A or 3A or something like that. And this kid's killing it. I mean, he's doing $260,000 a year last year, and that guy is really, really good at positioning his art. Meaning, he only shows it in the high-end homes with the $10 million furniture and the whole thing, right? And so he has a good system, I think, for positioning high net worth individuals, but he's still working on his marketing like the rest of us. That's how you get there. So yeah. Congrats on that revenue channel though. Don't let go of it. Okay, Melody, you're up next. Are you there, Melody? And you'll have to unmute. I'll let you know when you get it. Gotcha.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to know what website is good to sell art because I'm trying to start on Amazon, but I don't know if that's a good place to be.
I don't think so. No, and that's certainly not what we do. We're not like, you know, a marketplace per se. With us,
Oh, okay.
yeah, with us, you own your own website. You're responsible for your own marketing, but we teach you how to do that all year long.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The marketplace is a really hard way to do it. But let me ask you, Melody, have you gone about trying to sell your art at all yet?
I've been trying a few websites, but I don't really know if they've been good to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would, you know, find a show or a fair or a street corner in your local town. I would set up a table, put your artwork in it, and start talking to strangers and see if it sells. If it sells, you're in business. If not, you have to figure out something that works. But don't, you know, everybody looks early on when they haven't sold anything yet and they've never tried, like, you know, there's got to be a digital way that I can do this. And the reality is the easiest way is the quickest way you can start having conversations with real humans about your art. That's it. So don't worry about a website. Don't waste any time on a website. Get out onto a street corner, or if you have a Facebook or an Instagram following, grab this, turn the go live button on whatever platform you have the most friends, grab the pieces. What's up, guys? It's Melody. I'm trying to start my art business. Here's one particular piece, and I have a green screen, so it's going to make this thing look a little circusy. But start talking about the pieces. Start talking about how much they are. Let people know you take PayPal, Venmo, cash on delivery, and try to start selling. Do it today.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Melody. Okay, next up's Paula, and then it'll go Drew. Okay. All right, so Paula, you got your hand up, but it shows no camera and no mic, which is a really weird thing, so it's not letting me unmute you. What I would probably do, Paula, assuming you can hear me, is just sign out and sign back in. With all technology, 9 out of 10 times the restart usually fixes it, right? Okay, Drew, you're up next.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So, one question I do have is, kind of with the new advent of NFTs, do you have any strategies kind of based around that, or have you seen success, or, kind of what are your viewpoints on, marketing ourselves, not just with physical prints, but also in the NFT space, which seems to be growing at an exponential rate?
Yeah, and I'll qualify one of the things that the CEO and I are like long-term crypto heads and have been forever. Love crypto, love the blockchain, love what it pertains. For those that haven't heard, an NFT is a non-fungible token. I don't want to get too into the weeds on it, but I believe it's a distraction right now for most people, Drew. I think people are sort of driven to it like the gold rush, right? And the problem is that if you are incapable of selling your art or photography in the normal channels now where there's less friction, all that ends up happening is when you try to do the NFTs, it becomes more difficult. You're adding more friction, right, on how hard it is to buy art in that fashion. That's number one. Number two, what I think's interesting about it is the NFTs at a macro, they don't represent a zero-sum game, meaning the NFTs and the prices that they're selling for now are not sales that are coming out of the traditional art market, right? It's an expansion of the traditional art market because these people are newly minted crypto millionaires that have never really bought art before, and all of a sudden they're doing it because they like the blockchain and everything that it pretends. So that part of it to me is interesting. We've certainly attempted, gone through the whole listing process, gotten some stuff up, seen what it's looked like. At the end of the day, the ones that are making all the money on the NFTs are the ones that have been grinding on their marketing for years and years and years and years. There's no shortcut, right? So, for me, if you love crypto and you're passionate about it, you can devote some time, energy, and effort to it, by which I mean like 5 to 7% of your marketing. Otherwise, you just got to focus on your brass tacks marketing, right? That's the long and the short of it. But I love what they portend. I love the concept of the blockchain and what it's going to eventually usher in, but I think it's a long way out. And, there's lots of booms and busts in the crypto market. There always has been. And it's sort of in a bust now from where it was. And as such, the talk about NFTs, the volume of them are selling are nowhere near where it was at the peak already, right? And where'd Drew go? I think you muted yourself again. Yeah, it's okay.
Stuff. So, no, thanks. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it, and understanding that you've been in the crypto game, it's definitely good to hear because I was at a art gallery opening and was doing some photography for that, and a lot of those folks are really kind of trying to push the whole NFT, and I haven't spent too much time investigating it. I've minted one thing just for fun to see how the process worked, but haven't really dove into any kind of marketing strategy for that. I mean, I was thinking maybe, doing a series and actually having physical prints attached to it, like a physical attachment to the NFTs so they'd actually get a print and a digital receipt. But, it was just something that was kind of on my mind. And
yeah, I mean, it's so mega fascinating to me. I want it to be here tomorrow, right? But there's, if you talk to a normal human being, even me, okay, I'm no joke. I've been a crypto head for a long time, followed it very closely, lost a tremendous amount of money, made a little bit of money. It just had a blast with it, right? And the common misconception is that somehow the NFT is the artwork itself. It's not. It's not. Yeah. So if I buy, something from you, and you're like, okay, it comes with an NFT. That's fantastic. You still have to deliver the work to me, right? And if the work is digital, how the hell do I know that you don't have 357 other copies that you're distributing everywhere else? I don't, right? And then also, okay, great. It comes with smart contracts. That's amazing. I love smart contracts. But when's the last time you tried to litigate in more than one country, right? Like once you get out of U.S. law, do you know how sticky and messy of a situation that is? It's crazy. So I don't necessarily like it from that standpoint, but what I really like it from, at least as it pertains to like wall art, what I really, really like it from, and again, we're talking Mickey Mouse land now, because how do you enforce the contracts worldwide, right? But the concept, folks, when people are like, what are you guys speaking? What are you even talking about? The NFT is essentially a coin that lives on the blockchain, okay? And what you're able to do is essentially put a contract on this thing. And so, if Drew puts one up for sale and I buy it. There's a contract in there between Drew and I that stipulates whatever you want it to stipulate. So where I really like it conceptually, Drew, is, hey guys, I'm releasing a 10 coin series of NFTs. And in the contract is the following. For the first coin is going to be $1,000. By the time I sell the 10th coin, it's going to be $10,000. What you get in the contract of that coin is first right of refusal for my work in perpetuity, meaning you get to see my new stuff before anyone else. You get to decide if you want to buy it before anyone else. It starts with coin 1, it goes to coin 10. You can sell that coin at any point in time. I'm entitled to 15% of the sales, but it's a way for you to support me early on and make sure you're going to see any new works that come to market before anyone else. Awesome, right? Like all of a sudden you're building a collector list and building some value and giving people an asset which might actually go up in value if somebody else wants to buy it, right? No one's talking about that angle of it, and I love it. So
yeah, that's awesome. And plus you're getting that, 15% as it goes down the road. And I
exactly.
mean, also the value could grow exponentially. You get really big and that $1,000 token can go to 15,000.
Oh, are you kidding me? What if it was Banksy? That thing could go for 25 million, right? Now again, like everyone's like, oh, it's a smart contract. Like I still just go BS on that, right? Because like, what if somebody lives in Kuala Lumpur, right? Like, are they going to sue you in U.S. courts? Are you going to sue them in Kuala Lumpur courts? Like, in Malay courts? Like, there's still so much to figure out for it. But I love it conceptually like that. And like, what if you bought the rights for first right of refusal for an artist and you could sit on that thing for 20 years? That's awesome to me. That's amazing to me. Not only are you like supporting the artist, but, assuming you find one that you think is really going to grow and go big over the years, there you have it, right? And, I imagine that this will start coming to bear in the next couple of years. Anyone that's in Gagosian, right, or anyone that's being listed that's alive, that's listed, in the top 5%. Like, why wouldn't they all do it, right? Why wouldn't you buy that asset? Why wouldn't you give yourself first shot, right? And have their accuse. So. Yeah, there's some amazing things to it, but it's still about trust at the end of the day. I don't think the legal contract solves it all, but yeah, I'm fascinated by it. But in the short term, Drew, not the priority,
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, but I appreciate your thoughts on it. And no, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. All right, Paula, it looks like the restart got her done. You should be able to unmute now, Paula, and ask your question. I can see the phone icon. And if you're on the phone, there's like a microphone icon at the bottom of the phone that should let you unmute. I'll let you know when you get it. Are you there, Paula? I don't know if it was working there, Paula. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Keith, and if Paula figures it out, she can figure it out. Keith, you're up next. Oh, no. Your mic's unmuted. Keith, so I know that's working, but I can't hear you. So what I would do is there's like a little up arrow right next to the mic, and that'll sort of, this tiny little up arrow to the right-hand side of it. What that'll do is it'll say select a microphone. My guess is you have the wrong one picked. You might want to just cycle through whatever you have on your computer. All right, I'm going to leave you unmuted because Paula's working now. You see if you can figure out your audio situation. I'll go to Paula, and then if I hear you, I'll just leave it be. So go ahead, Paula.
Can you hear me now?
I certainly can.
Good, great. This is wonderful. I'm new. These people 15 may know the answers to all of this, but you're doing super, and I'm just trying to find out a little more information.
Sure.
Number one, I've done all kinds of art. What kind of art sells the best? What are the kind of the three top types of art that sell? I know that's a broad question. And then how many pieces do you need in your portfolio before you start this?
Yep.
I mean, I sell here in my town, but on this site, what do you need?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first because it's easy. How many pieces do you need in your portfolio to start? One. You need one. That's it. Every new additional piece that you release becomes a marketing moment. And the reason I say one is, it's hard not to interpret that cynically for the guy that's selling the website software. But let me say it to you this way. I don't care if you sign up with us or if you get going on the website somewhere else. The reason it's one is because everyone, I've seen this time and time again, I'll just get started when I have 10 pieces ready to go, or 15 or 20. And then what ends up happening, Paula, The hours turn into days, turn into weeks, turn into months. You've not taken any forward steps towards getting that business off the ground. So 1 is enough. That's number 1. Number 2, the first question that you asked, underpinning that question is an utterly, totally, and completely flawed premise. And the premise is, if I somehow know what is doing well out there, I can copy it, apply it to my business, and it will work. It implies that there's some sort of magical formula to this particular business and this particular niche, and nothing could be further from the truth. The variations of this question are like, what are the best selling media types? If I just know what the best selling media types, what are the best selling subject materials? If I just know what the best subject, what is the number one prices that everyone's paying? If I just know the prices. Every single solitary artist and photographer we have is on a completely different journey. And, despite being like an analytical marketing kind of guy, as much as I attempt to want to extract a formula that explains, what's the best way to do things, I'm continually just slapped right in the face on it. And let me give you for instance. We've got a gal that's got 5,000 followers on Instagram. She has 1,000 people on her email list. We've got a guy that's got 1.3 million followers on Instagram. He's a household name, and he has about the same email list as the gal. Do you know what the gal does? She outsells him 25x to 1. It's not even close. It's not even the same sport, right? And so, okay, as an analytical marketer, I might look at his sales and her sales and divide by the number of Instagram followers plus the number of email subscribers and say, here's the formula you need for this size of business. And nothing can be further from the truth. There's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, given the subjective nature of art. And so, trying to reverse engineer those things, trying to ask the crystal ball questions is just folly. It's a fool's errand. And I'm not taking a knock at you on that one. I've constantly tried to do it myself, and I've just learned over the years that everyone's got a different path, a different journey, a different subject material, and there's no rhyme or reason to who makes it and who doesn't sometimes, because there's just so many different variables, right? It's like you're talking about one variable, and this is essentially like one of 27 ingredients that all go into a blender. We blend, and then the resulting smoothie or cocktail or whatever is what it is. And there's just you can't think like that. It's folly.
Okay, what sizes sell the best? Give you another one.
Yeah, it's the same question, Paul. It's the same. It's
Same
the same
thing.
Yeah, it's the same
Okay.
question. Yeah. The only thing I would say on the
And then you
sizes
help us.
is obviously it's pretty hard to make it when you're selling really, really, really big sizes, because only really, really rich people have walls big enough for those really, really big sizes.
Okay, and you help us with the pricing.
Yes, significantly so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mhm.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Okay, Keith, do you think you got it sorted? I don't know. I'm going to try and unmute you again. Let's just see. We'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Yep, gotcha. Good work.
Okay. Hey, this is my first time I've gotten the emails and that.
Yep.
I'm getting your internet is on this table. Anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna stop your camera because it'll make the audio a little bit cleaner. So just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, my question is, I just retired, getting back into artwork. I used to do all comic strips for skateboarding and undergrounds and that.
Cool.
So I'm back into doing my art, and I heard you talking about the Bitcoin type thing.
Yep.
What about tax IDs? When should you get that, or who should I be referred to? Because I'm not, I don't want to screw up and all of a sudden be selling art, because you're talking high-end money. And I want to make sure I'm not going to have Mr. IRS on my back door.
Every artist, every photographer out there has two problems. Okay, two problems.
Okay.
Problem number one, which is a really, really, really big problem, is actually selling the art of photography. Problem number two is everything else. Shipping, taxes, lawyers, bank accounts. That problem is really, really small in comparison. What everyone tends to do is worry about problem number two and not worry about problem number one. All you got to worry about is problem number one. Sell it first. Everything else downstairs.
Well, I'm not doing too bad. I'm starting to sell again because I have a name out there.
Which is awesome.
But I'm just worried about, do I get a tax ID number, or should I talk to somebody about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a state by state question. I would just keep really good records, put everything obviously into a bank account, and then go and see a tax person, and they'll get you all sorted. I mean, until you really start selling a lot, you don't get completely whacked. Now,
that's fine. I just had that question. I enjoy this as my first time, getting in, and I'm sure I'll join again. But when you're talking
What state do you live in? Just out of curiosity.
Texas.
Texas. Okay. Yeah. They're a pretty good state as that goes. So you might need a business license. I don't know. We do have some advice on that because our company is based in Texas. So we'd be able to tell you if you end up signing up with us.
Okay. So and then because I'm looking, because I've been with another company just for a website, GoDad.
GoDaddy. GoDaddy. Yeah. Yeah.
And, I haven't updated my website. My son set it up because I had an article written for me about me.
Okay.
And so now I'm going to either update that or go someplace else. So anyway, I'm enjoying this a lot, and I'm glad I tuned in this time.
Well, I appreciate that, Keith. That's awesome.
And I'm sure I'll be back listening again and find out exactly what all you guys have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you can email me all the stuff you got to offer now that you know my name and on there, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll send you that.
Re-up with GoDaddy or go someplace else.
Yeah, the next step, Keith, before you decide to re-up with GoDaddy or not, is request a demo and just see what we have to offer. You'll educate yourself some more on the demo. Is basically like the test drive. They show you all the bells and whistles of everything that we do.
Okay, yeah, because I'd like to know that before I switch it, and also I don't want to lose my website name.
No. That doesn't happen with us. The artist owns everything, and so your website name, you basically can just decide where you'd want to point it. You can point it at GoDaddy or you can point it at us. You don't lose the name.
Okay,
ever.
well, that was my main concern. I've had that since the 70s. So
that's amazing.
I don't want to lose that.
Well, you had the name since the 70s. You haven't had the domain name since the 70s because that was pre-internet days. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I had it kind of copyrighted because I did some cartoons using that name.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, well, I'll keep listening, and I'll hope to get something where I can find out exactly where to go with you guys and see what you got.
Absolutely.
But it's been very entertaining or whatever, instructable, teaching me some different things since I'm not good with cam or web stuff.
Yeah. You're not the only one, brother. You're not the only one.
I know, but I'm trying now since I retired to get back in full board and start doing all the poster and comics and art that I used to do.
I love it. Yep. When you got the right attitude, like, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. There's going to be some times where you're going to want to pull the hair out of your head, or in your case, despite the fact the camera's off, pull the hair out of your beard because it's frustrating. Okay, it's extremely annoying.
I played Santa Claus until the virus, so it grew some more.
Yeah. There you go. There's a lot of work to figure out, but essentially, the rules have changed, right? The art industry is.
I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, so you kind of just have to get in sync with that, but that's why we exist. That's what we teach people to do. So we can help you.
Okay, well, please send me the info or how I get to that instead of just the web page to learn about it. I'd really be interested.
Yep.
And
finding
out all the information to see what I need to do.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it for you, Keith. We'll make sure someone reaches out to you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Guy. And like I said, this has been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Melody, you have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I said, how do I start with your website?
Yeah, so we do a demo process. So there's links in the chat. You can see it says to learn more about art storefronts. I put it up on the screen. To learn more about art storefronts, request a demo. All you have to do is click that link. You fill out a little form, and then the team will get in touch with you.
Okay.
And they'll walk you through everything. And, it's like I said, it's a 10-minute call. They get to know you. They can talk to you about pricing, this, that, and the other. And then from there, you can schedule the demo and see if you like it. But I don't know if you're necessarily ready yet, Melody. What I want you to do is immediately attempt to sell your art, right? Like, you got to figure out whether or not that art will sell. If that art will sell, you're good to go. You're ready to go. You have a marketing problem. But first things first, you have to decide. You have to get to the bottom of whether or not anyone wants to buy your stuff, right? And no one knows whether or not the art will sell early on. Doesn't matter who it is. It's got nothing to do with you, your talent, your subject material, or anything else. It has everything to do with the fact that you'll never know unless you attempt to sell it to strangers, to people not named mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends, okay? Because mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends will do anything for you. They'll lay in front of oncoming traffic for you. because they're those people, right? So you have to attempt to sell it to people that don't know you. Once that's the case, then you're ready to get going on the website and everything else. And what I don't want you to do is spend a bunch of money on a website, spend a bunch of time getting it up, and then find out that whatever you're creating is not what the market wants, right? And that's a hard thing to hear for a lot of people, because they're like, they go and attempt to sell their stuff and their stuff doesn't sell, and immediately they internalize it as criticism. And it's like, well, and I'm not saying this is going to be you or not. I'm just saying it's a issue of this entire process. And they instantaneously say, oh my God, my art's terrible. I'm terrible. I don't know how to create. No one's ever going to buy anything from me. And then they learned that when Pablo Picasso died, he had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. 45,000. Okay. What do you think those were? All home runs? Or do you think he had a couple of mulligans along the way? Right? There was a lot of art that guy created that nobody wanted to buy. Now, again, this was when he was coming up and attempting to sell. Every single solitary bit of it, I think, has sold since, obviously because of his name. But the point is that, and this one really gets me fired up, what do all artists and all photographers do for the most part? Okay? And look, I'm not pointing the cannon at any of you, okay? The number of times I've done this in my career, I don't even want to tell you, all right? What do? I'm just going to create what inspires me. I'm just going to create what I love. I'm just going to create whatever it is that I feel like painting, and then I'm going to go and try and sell it. Okay, great. So do that. If it sells, fantastic. You are one of the lucky ones. If it doesn't mean you're a crappy artist. It doesn't mean you're a crappy photographer. It just means you cannot create artwork in a vacuum, okay? And it comes down to the volume in which you create, number one, and number two, how many eyeballs you actually get it in front of, right? And you go back to Picasso, 45,000 unsold pieces. How many of those things do you think were little iterations on trying to figure out what the next home run was, right? But no one ever wants to talk about that. Everyone's like, oh, I tried to sell my art, no one wanted to buy it, and I suck, I'm going to quit, right? So I don't want you to do that.
I'm also on Patreon to
Yep.
sell art,
Yep.
so I can open up a gallery.
Yep.
5 years from now.
Yep.
Is that a good idea?
No. It's not that it's not a good idea. It might be a good idea in the long term, but all you're doing is creating these little tasks that are not getting you the feedback that you need. It's just a waste of time. You're just wasting your time, because the only thing that matters is getting your art in front of strangers' eyeballs and seeing if you can sell it. Excuse me. The number one thing that you need to do is figure out how to get a booth at a table, local farmer's market, a craft and fair show, pop it up on a street corner illegally. I don't care how you do it. Put it in a friend's garage that lives on a main street in town, and put a table up, sit in it for 8 hours a day, and see if you sell some. If you sell some, you're in business. If not, then you don't know what you're doing, right? You're in trouble. You got to figure out something else. You got to try something new. So that's what it comes down to. If I'm you, Melody, I'm not wasting a minute of my time anything digitally. I know that's easy to do, right? It's easy to do because we can just sit on our computer and not have the difficult conversations or not do the difficult thing. But you don't want to do that. You want to just try and get that art in front of eyeballs and try to sell it.
Excellent. 'Cause I'm also in school, so just digital is like a little easier for me. But
See,
yeah,
it's easier for everybody, Melody. It's easier for everybody. It's extremely easy. And we all hide behind our computers and hope that that's the easiest way. But guess what? The hardest way is always the highest ROI way. And what is the hardest way? Actually, and look, I'm not an artist, so this is easy for me to say. I get that it's terrifying to put your stuff in a booth and talk to strangers and try to sell it. I know that's terrifying. It's much easier to sit behind a computer, upload, and not feel like you have to talk to anyone. But I'm telling you, you'll get there quicker if you take my path. Set it up at school and see what you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melody. Okay, good session today. We made it through without coughing too much, like a crazy person, which is nice. Any other questions, guys, before we go? Before we sign off? And you can raise the hand digitally. You can throw the question in chat. I'm going to make sure that I did not miss anything in the chat. I don't think I did. I think I caught everything in there. Let's see. No, I think I got it all. Yeah, I'm just scanning through. I think I've got everything. Let me know. Anyone else, if you've got questions, and I'll kind of do my little wrapped up pitch. Yeah, and I'll deal with that in a second, Danielle. So Q4 is coming. Okay. Q4 is the number one art selling time of the year. Q4, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, New Year's, all of that falls in Q4, right? It's the biggest art selling time of the year. You got to get going immediately so that you're ready for that. And do not take that as a sales pitch. I don't care if you get going somewhere else. Get going somewhere else. But do not let Q4 come and you don't have your art up on a website. You do not have any marketing campaigns in the water. You are not running a sale for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So what is the number one reason to sign up for us? We will equip you and teach you how to do all of that. But understand the clock is ticking. Yeah, I know it's July, but we like to get way, way, way in front of these things. And traditionally, what happens is more art is sold in Q4 for most of our customers. So the last quarter of the year than the other three combined. And that's just the way that it goes. The wallets are out at the end of the year. So we think we start banging the drum on this extremely early because you've got to get your art up on a website. You have to start marketing, which you're not doing consistently. You have to start emailing your email list. You have to build an email list if you don't have an email list. You have to learn the mechanics of a sale and a number of very, very important steps between now and then. So best time to plant an oak tree 30 years ago. Next best time today. Which is 100% true. And again, don't take that as a sales pitch. I don't care if you do it somewhere else, but you got to get started. You guys, Q4's coming and it's going to be big. Excuse me. Danielle's asking about upfront costs. So, I know conclusively that not a single solitary person, right, on this entire Zoom call has a website problem. None of you guys have a website problem. Meaning, if I was the genie and I just came out of the lamp and I said, I will move your website wherever you want it, 1 hour it'll take me. I could move that website wherever you want, to us, to any other site, and what would change in your business? Nothing. Because you don't have a website problem. You guys all have a marketing problem. A website's only as good if people are actually coming to it. And the vast majority, you have no one coming to your website, right? So that's a problem. That's the thing that we need to fix. That's the thing that we realized early on. If we want to have a successful business, we need to have successful customers. If we want to have successful customers, a website is not enough, not even close. Got to teach you how to market and teach you how to do that all year long. So most people think that we're a website company. We are, yes, sort of a website company, but really what we are is an art business university. An art business university that never has any graduates because the learning never stops. An art business university that doesn't teach you art history, okay? We've all learned that. That's fantastic. We teach you how to actually market and grow a successful business, leveraging the best that modern marketing has to offer. And that learning never stops. So our bottom baseline plan, and we have like 3 of them. It's why we do the demo process. I'll explain all this to you. Our bottom baseline plan starts at $1,000 down, I think, or $999 down, however that works. And I think $39 or $49 a month. And then there's different plans and bells and whistles that go from there. But what does that entail? Why do we do it that way? Because we teach you to market all year long. There's a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year, okay? There are Zoom sessions just like this one, 2 days a week, and which we put all of our customers in a Zoom session. We teach you what's going on in the calendar. You do Q&A. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. We have the DIY education, how to run a sale, how to run ads on Facebook, how to post on Facebook, how to go live on Facebook, how to go live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. We have courses for all of these things. We have tech support 6 days a week via Zoom sessions. You can pop in, get unstuck. We don't just support our application. We support Facebook. We support Instagram. We support MailChimp. Again, this is why we do the demo process. So we've determined that that's what it takes to actually create successful customers. And so that's what we do. And that is our gig. So, yeah. All right. Appreciate you guys. Good session today. Thanks for putting up with me being sick. I'm running out of energy, so I think we'll leave it there for today. Going to send you the video after the fact, all the links to all the things so you can check them out, the live art shows. And again, we are having a sale. We just extended it. It's our summer sale. You get a ton of money off to, most importantly, get going, get up, get the website up, and start marketing immediately. As a final, got a question from Natasha. What is a reasonable amount of time per day to spend on marketing? Yeah, it's another variation of the crystal ball question. It's less about the time, Natasha, like the hours a day you have to give, and it's more about, are you capable of giving them to me 52 weeks a year? You only have two hours a week to give? Amazing. Give them to me 2 hours, week in, week out for 52 weeks a year. No one ever does it consistently. Everyone always quits. So it's less about the hours, more about doing it consistently all year. That's number one. Number two, excuse me. Should have pressed my mute button. I'm sorry you have to hear that. What ends up happening is everyone devotes whatever number of hours they have to marketing year one, right? They only have 2 hours to give. And you start in on it, and we keep encouraging you and poking and prodding you when you try to drop off. And then month 3, you get like a little bit of a win. Maybe you get a mention, or you get a famous Instagram follower, a sale, or whatever it is. And it ends up filling up the emotional gas tank, okay, that we all as entrepreneurs have. And then the next thing you know, the 2 hours becomes 4. And then the next thing you know, the 4 hours becomes 8. And that's always how it ends up going. But again, Natasha, there's no magical hours per week. It doesn't matter. You do what you can, but you do it consistently, and you don't ever come off the gas. That's the ball game. So, all right, guys, thanks. Good session today. Appreciate you. Send you the email after the fact, and hope to see you either on the inside or a future session.